Hey, we are back again with another series. In this series, we are going to build a resume builder. So the idea here is we're gonna build this kind of CV or resume. We will save all the information of user somewhere in database like work history, education, skills, personal information, and then we'll display them on this page, and we can generate the PDF out of that page to get our CV or resume. So this series is targeted toward the beginners who are just learning Laravel, and so I'm going to explain most of the things that I'm doing. So yeah, let's get started. Alright, so I'm assuming you have some kind of dev server like WAMP, XAMPP or Laragon. Although I highly recommend using Laragon if you are on Windows. Just head to the laragon.org/download and then you can download the latest version, and yeah, you can start. So if you got any error, you can contact me on Slack. I'll put the link of Slack where you can join the channel and contact with me. So make sure you have latest PHP version. If you haven't, make sure you have at least 7.2.5. okay, so with that said, so if you download the latest version, it might not throw error. Yeah, okay, so with all development environment set, let's open up terminal. You can open terminal from here or directly open from Control Alt T. So anyway, just open up terminal and you need to create the new project, Laravel new make my CV. So I am naming it make my CV. You can call it make resume builder, whatever. And also make sure to do auth flag. So this will generate the auth scaffolding by default. And yeah, so you can just do like this. If you do like this, it won't install the auth scaffolding, everything auth related stuff. So by doing this, we got all login register views by default. So if you don't do this, you have to do one additional command using composer require Laravel UI or auth UI. Okay, so if you are following along, just do Laravel new make my CV -- auth. So and hit enter, it will install the new project. So just wait for it to install. I've already installed it. Okay, so once this command got completed, so it might take you around 5 minutes to complete, and then just cd into the newly created folder, cd make my CV. So now you are inside make my CV. All right, so here you can start your project PHP artisan serve by using PHP artisan serve, or if you are using Laragon, that's it. If you are using Laragon, you can do reload and do yes, and once you do reload, you'll have your project at this location. So folder name followed by .txt. okay, so you'll see something like this. Okay, next thing, so first we'll create a home page where we'll display build your CV. Now we'll put the button for user to click on it so that it will start the CV building process. So we'll add user to the personal information form where user can insert all the personal information, and we'll save this to database. Similarly, after completing that, we'll add user to next section where user can complete education, similarly skills and rest of the things. All right, okay, so once this is done, let's go to our terminal once again. So everything we can do from terminal. So make sure you are in this folder make my CV, and you can open this up on code, like code space dot. It will open this folder on VS Code. All right, so you'll see your project here. So if you go to .env file here, you'll need to put database name, username and password. So in my case, username is root, password is nothing, which might be the case with you. So first thing, we need to create new database, right? So we will store everything on our new database. So you can open up new database, whether you are using SQL, Workbench, or whatever client. So if you are using Laravel, just hit on database, it will open up this window, and here you can open like this, open, and you'll see all list of database. You might not have this many, so just right click on Laravel, create new database. So database name will be the CV builder. There we go. So we'll see CV builder over here. Right now we have nothing here. So once database is created, head over to your project, and here in database I will put the name of the database that I just created, CV builder. All right. Okay, everything's set. So next thing, we'll create a home page. Let's go to web.php. So here we'll define all our routes, which will take us to the specific page. Now let's create another route. We don't need to create another route. So here is already home route slash, and here instead of welcome, we'll create a new view called main. Yeah, let's call it main. And we need to create this blade file inside our resources views. So here we'll create our new file, main.blade.php, and this file will extend the layouts app. So since we have run auth command, which have generated all these files, default files, so this contains normal bootstrap, navbar and all. And now we need to extend layouts app. So we need to extend this this layout, and in this layout we have the content. So here we will spit out or put our custom content for our main.blade. So now we are saying that we use that layout, and then section content, and we need to end this section, and here we'll create a heading, welcome to CV builder, and then we'll put a button, build your resume now. Okay, so now if we visit home page, we should see our newly created content. Let's go to browser, let's go to our project. So make my CV.test and home page. Yeah, so we can see our new content. So let's put this on center. So we'll be using this bootstrap here, and yeah, let's put this inside container, and it will have some padding on side. Okay, so inside container we have heading and button. So we'll be not focusing on too much CSS stuff in this video. We just focus on Laravel logic and all stuff. So we might create another video for making a beautiful UI later on. Okay, so whenever user hits build your resume now, we'll take user to the form where user can insert his or her personal detail. So to store the personal detail, we'll need a database table, right? So we can store that there, and we can make the CV from all those information. Whenever we need that information, we can pull that from database and generate our complete CV. So we are just storing our information in different tables, and whenever we need it, we'll get it from all the database table whenever we required. So for that we will create a database table, right? So I will call it details table, or you can call it user details. So let's create that table. So by the way, by default Laravel gives us some default table like users table, password reset, field jobs. Alright, so these tables are default tables. We'll not do anything with them. We'll create another details table where user can insert first name, last name, email, phone number, and all other information. We could put that inside users table, but we might not need for all user that functionality, or it's better to separate this default table from our website specific tables. So for example, if we store everything here, later on we decided not to use that functionality, we have all redundant table on this thing. So this user table not only contains customer, this might contain admins, editors, all other kind of users. So for those users, they might not want to generate this resume, so that is not relevant for all redundant field to keep on this users table. So we'll create another table, details table, or user details table, we can call it like that. Okay, so let's create that table. So in Laravel we'll use migration files to generate our table. All right, so luckily we can generate them from our terminal. So you can use this terminal, or you can use this terminal inside VS Code, whatever you prefer. So I will just close the terminal and use this one. Okay, so I will create model, migration file, controllers, everything in one command. So migration are used to generate a table, models are used to deal with all database table with that particular table, and controllers to display all the views, pages, and everything like that. Okay, so PHP artisan make model, we'll call it user detail, and if you do -m, it will generate migration file, do C for controller, and R for resourceful controller. So resourceful controller contains all the controller actions like index. So by the this R will generate additional methods on the controller. So I will show what it created. Just run this command. So model created, migration created, and it is generating controller as well. Okay, so once all files are created, let's go to first this migration file, user details table, and we'll generate our table first. So here we got ID and timestamp field by default. We will generate a table. So string first name. Alright, so I'm putting these fields. You can put it city, state, zip, whatever you like. Okay, I'll make this nullable. So right now details will have these fields, and so we have user detail class, which is used to talk with this table. And now let's generate these tables. So open up terminal. So right now if you see inside our database, there are no tables. And to generate table, PHP artisan migrate. Yeah, so it created all these tables. So we got all default tables plus our user details table with all these full name, email, phone, address, and all these fields. Okay, so our table is ready at this point, and now let's go and create our form. So to generate form, we need to go to first, let's go to controller, user detail controller. So in this controller you'll see all the methods by default, like index, create, store, show, edit, update, destroy. So when we did -r command, r mcr, where we did r we tell Laravel to generate all these methods. So index method is generally used to display all the resources, like all the details. Create will be used to generate a new or display the form. Store to store the form, so to display. So these are just convention. You can just get rid of everything and generate these by default one by one. It's your choice. All right, so what I'm going to do is inside this create method, so show the form for creating new resource. So generally this is the convention to create the form in this method. So we'll return the view called let's call the user. So user detail will be the folder name and create will be the view name. So let's create that folder and view. Inside views, create new folder, user detail. So new file I'll create.blade. Okay, so this will also extends. So same thing like we did before, and here we'll have form. So form action, and inside this form we'll have some fields like input field, text. Okay, so this is the form. We'll make a form look nicer later on. And let's go and so right now we have created form, but we have no way to access this form to see it on browser. So we want to see that browser by going some route like user detail / create. So this route, if we hit this route, we want to see that form, right? So that user can create that form. So let's create this kind of route. So to create route, to generate route, we go to web route, and here let's create here. So route get, and name of route will be user detail / create, and this route, whenever we hit this route, we will point user to this controller and create method. So this controller create method, we have defined what we should do whenever user hit that route. So we will display this view. This view is this blade file. So look at this flow. Whenever user hits user /dot/ create, so user hits this, what Laravel is doing is going to this controller at this particular method and executing all the command in that controller, like displaying that create. Okay, so currently we have these fields. Let's input type submit. So this kind of form we have. Okay, so we have heading, we have form with these input fields. So full name, email, phone, address, and one submit button. All right, so these are the input field we got. So these name will be corresponding to our database table field name, so that we want to fill these data inside our table, newly created table from these form. All right, so yeah, so we have this form. So we have to wrap everything inside container, this whole thing inside container, so that it will be on something like here. Okay, so right now I know our form is not looking good, just ignore the CSS part. And yeah, so what we want to do is, if user enters all these data here, we should have all these information saved in our database. So how do we do that? Here, action. In action, we define where this thing should submit all this data. So we'll submit this data to user detail / just user detail, and the method will be post. And now let's create this route, post route. Go to web. I'll duplicate this thing, user create, like this, store, and this will be the post route. Okay, user detail, store, and everything, all logic will write inside store. So right now just die dump something like, hey, submitted, and whenever we hit submit we should see that. Let's check it out. Yeah, so you got 419. So that is because for every form you need a CSRF field, CSRF, like this, just to CSRF. So this is the way Laravel uses to secure your form. This is all security measure to just make sure that you are making the request, you are trying to insert something on your database, not some other hacker or something, some other suspicious source. Alright, so let's go back once again. Submit, yeah, so he submitted. So whenever we hit submit, we are hitting this endpoint. This endpoint is here, store. We defined that here, like this. So make sure this is post, not get, because we are submitting post request. Okay, so that's about form, and here we'll write all logic required to submit data. So let me show you by die dumping this request class, request all. Yeah, so we are getting everything like full name, email, phone, address, and we'll submit everything to database. Okay, so the way we do it is using like this. So we'll use user detail and create, and we can do like request all. So user detail, we need to import this class. You can right click and import the class, or hit Ctrl Alt I, or just to use app user detail, and after saving that return back. Okay, so it is saying these properties are not mass assignable, so that means you need to go to user detail, and here you need to define so which are fields that can be fillable, phone. So these are all security measures by Laravel, which doesn't allow any fields to be fillable by fillable automatically. You have to define everything that can be filled, so that without your knowledge nothing can be filled. So full name, phone, email, address. So these are the fields I want to get filled. So now if you go back, let's go to create this form, and here let's enter full name. So now submit. So it got submitted. Let's go to our database, refresh. Yeah, here we go. So we have filled all the data from form to database. Yeah. Okay, so now everything is filled. Okay, so we realized that we'll need one extra field in this table. So right now we are not associating which user's data is this. We can get we have to include a user ID field in this table so that we can associate the user. So first we need to log in, and then only logged in user can access this page, and then logged in user will enter the data and submit, and that user ID will be saved here. So how do we add additional field on this table? This table is already generated. So there are two ways. You can just edit this migration file and table, and if you see so go back to user details. So here we need to create unsigned big integer field, user/id. Okay, so once you edit this file, you can go php artisan migrate rollback. This means we are rolling back everything. We are deleting everything from our database. Yeah, so there is nothing. And once you roll back, again migrate, php artisan migrate, and this will create all the new fields like this. Okay, so now we have user id field as well. So once we have user id, we need to go to here, and instead of doing like this, we need to insert another additional field called user id. So we'll create new user detail, and here detail full name equals to request full name. You can do like this, or input full name. So this is the data coming from our form. Same thing for phone, for email, phone, email, address. So after filling all these data, detail, and then save it. This is another way to create data. So this is easier to understand. And also we need to fill user ID with auth ID. So this will give the ID of currently authenticated user. Alright. Okay, so only authenticated users should access this route, create route and store route. So let's make that as well. Only authenticated user can access this. So we can use middleware auth. Only authenticated user can access these routes. For that we need to use this auth middleware. This is supplied by default. This is we are saying that only authenticated user can access the create route and store route. So now if we try to refresh this page, we shouldn't access this page. So it is redirecting us to login page, asking us to login. So we have no account, just register. Alright, so now we are logged in. So now if we go to the home page and go to build our resume now, so we need to make this button so that it will take us to the detail form, right? For now we can just go from here, user detail create. Alright, so now if we and then submit, yeah, it should save all the data in our database. Let's refresh. So we got user ID, full name, email, phone, address, everything. Alright, so we can add the validation like this: request, validate, and these full name required, email required, and this should be email field, and also phone should be required. So whenever it fails these criteria, it will redirect us back with error. So let's check that out. So whenever I hit submit, it will redirect us back. So we are not seeing any error right now. So in order to display error, what we can do is let's go to our resources, views, user detail, create form. So in create form, we'll display error here. let's create a div, and if session has errors. So if session has errors, and if it looks like we can access this like this, errors all. Yeah, like this. So we got error like this. Full name field is required, font is required. So to make it look slightly nicer, we can use bootstrap classes, like, let's say, so I have some snippet like bootstrap error, bootstrap for alert, so alert danger. Inside here we can put that thing here. Yeah, like so. Okay, so with validation is in place, everything is in place, we have all the information saved in our database. So what you can do is you can use bootstrap class to make this form look nicer. I'll do it behind the scenes and push this code on GitHub. You can take a look from there. And yeah, once this information is saved and submit, we'll redirect user to next section where user can fill in education related stuff. So the process is same. So all the education related stuff will save there. Will all the process that we have done right now will repeat it to achieve same thing. So next section we'll do that. I'll not explain everything in detail since we have explained a lot of thing here. So next section we'll create the education.